we got all these different topics, and they're not really in any type of order. I just kind of like wrote stuff down as I thought about it, and this pod is gonna be based on. I mean, it's mainly gonna be relationship and race based, which is usually where we end up when we pod together. I lost some screenshots that I was supposed to have of conversations or didn't take the notes, whatever. I blame y'all too. Y'all got iPhones. So, an interesting conversation that we almost had in the group, but I just was not going to allow for it to happen in the group because certain conversations that Wayne and I have, I just don't be wanting to type that damn much. It's like we need to talk this out loud, but I don't have time to like have a phone conversation with you either right now. I'm doing too many things or I'm at work. And so we're talking about the Beehive and how Trick Daddy came out and pretty much said that Beyonce can't sing. And they're going crazy. Now, I don't know exactly what he said in the original statement, but then I saw one of his follow-ups. And in the follow-up, he was saying she's just not like a Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, and he said some other people with like great voices singer. And I go, I can get behind that. Like I think Beyonce can sing, but I mean, if we're talking about a Mount Rushmore of vocalists, I would not put her on the Mount Rushmore. And I think that's what Trick Daddy was trying to say. But in this world of attention grabbing and headlines, he said that got the attention, that got the clicks. And then the Beehive just goes crazy, leaving terrible reviews on his soul food restaurant. Some were funny, like, "Oh, the food is terrible. There's roaches in here, but the lemonade was great." And it's like, I see what you did there. And I say, does Beyonce have a responsibility to try to get the Beehive to behave? I'm gonna let you go first, Wayne, because you were.
You sure you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Look, man, the answer in summary is no. Trick Daddy has a responsibility just like anybody else is given the opportunity to speak. And that's to understand what it is that you are about to speak about. Every time you open your mouth on a public platform, you open yourself up to scrutiny. If we as individuals take a moment and learn from history, we would understand that if you say something about that young lady that her fans don't like, you're going to have to deal with that smoke. Example, go back and look at Kid Rock. Kid Rock said something similar about Beyonce in reference to her as this great artist. He's like, but she doesn't have a purple rain, right? Yeah, go back into the history. So he drops this bar. And what did they do? They came at his head. They came at his head to the point where he had to, I think his hilarious response was he tweeted a can of Raid to keep the bees away because they were constantly on him. That's just one of. There's dozens of examples in history where you can look back and you can say, if I go at her, I'm going to have to deal with the repercussions. She doesn't have a responsibility to tell her fans not to deal with people that have an opinion. If we can have 45 make statements to incite a riot, that's something that he has a responsibility for. She's a musician. If her fans want to support her, however they support her, that's a different ballgame. But she's not inciting riots. She just made music that people loved.
But to the detriment of another black man?
She just made music that people love.
And I get torn on this one because my thing is, the influence you have over these people. Because some would say, well, they're adults, they're making their own decisions. Sure. But for you to be that crazed of a fan over somebody who you don't know and they're constantly asking you to spend your money on them and they're giving you a service. I get it, but I don't see you as even the most stable adult. Like I can't I cannot go crazy over somebody that I don't know, especially to
Okay.
somebody criticizing them. Hell, I criticize everybody.
You know, when you say that, you have to remind yourself that fan is a short term. It's short for fanatic, bro. They have no issue saying that they're fans. They have no issue saying that they're fanatics. They are crazy about it. They're sold. They locked in. They call themselves the Beyhive.
It's just B. Like, it ain't gotta be Bay.
All right, my bad.
Are you
Don't
The
talking
only
tweet
B?
reason
B
why I
B.
say that, because I just realized that when you said Beyhive, which I have heard people say before, it kind of sounds like a demon name.
I appreciate that insight. Thank you, because I would hate for my social media platform to be swarmed with the appropriate spelling of the word.
Did I spell Beehive right in the ticker?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
that's how you spell it. And you can say Beyhive, and some of the hive calls it the Beyhive. I'm just saying, like, maybe it's the right way for the topic. Maybe it sounds phonetic. It just sounds like a demon name to me.
Well, yeah, she's Lucifer, and all of the Beehive are her demons.
See,
That's a
that's what
joke,
I'm trying to
Beehive.
get
That's a
away
joke.
from. Okay, that's all.
That's a joke. It's a joke.
I thought you was gonna go to the other demon time phrase that she had, but good, you good? Go ahead.
What demon time phrase?
The thing with
Woman,
Megan
demon
the
time, you must hurt.
Stallion.
Yeah,
Oh, look, I don't
that's
have
enough. Don't say anything to incriminate.
I don't
We
have
good.
thoughts on that anymore.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I try to keep my criticism towards people and things that I'm well aware of. I think Mr. Ed is a legend, and we should leave him where he's at.
Okay.
But no, Candace, are you part of the Beehive?
Some would say
Is she
yes.
allowed to? Is she allowed to answer that publicly? Is that like a secret society?
Here's
I
my thing
think
about
he's
the Beehive.
right. I think he's right. But
Here's
some
my
I have been accused of being part of the Beehive. That is a fact.
in my experiences with you talking about the Queen Beyonce. I don't I don't think you've ever came off as too fanatical. You definitely came off as like somebody who appreciates her as a fan, but like not on the wild side. I mean, you just sit here and let me talk what I said, and I hadn't even really gone in on Beyonce yet because I don't understand how you're a fan of somebody who you don't know, right? Like she doesn't do interviews. I assume it's because it'll mess up the money and she'll lose her mystique. But she's not nearly as interesting as like a Prince, where you wonder like what is going on in her head. Like I assume it's just a bunch of like, and I just like. Have you ever heard Beyonce really like talk? In
Yes,
in
absolutely.
in the 30 years we've been consuming this lady, 25 years, outside of her little Netflix documentary that was heavily produced, heavily produced, heavily produced, I get nothing raw from Beyonce. Pull up a Beyonce interview.
She had another documentary before that.
That's produced. I don't care about
You
produced.
ain't even seen it.
It don't matter. That's her produced. And if it's her documentary, it's her telling the story that she wants to tell.
You know what this is giving me? You know how atheists go so hard in the paint about how there is no God and there's nothing to believe in, when really they have a belief too that they stand strongly by, and their belief is that there's no God. You can either be like a super Beehive member or you can be a super anti Beehive member. It's giving the same energy. Unless you just somewhere chilling, minding your black owned business, you're guilty.
I typically don't I typically don't give a damn about what the Beehive does, but they did something this time that created a conversation that I thought was relevant. So I'm gonna give it energy like right now. And for the record, I'm a Beyonce fan. Like I think she's a great artist, like artist of our generation. Like she was one of my first like childhood crushes. Like so it's not that I'm there's no Beyonce hate here. Like excuse me. There's no Beyonce hate. There is just criticism of things that she does, and it's really just her lack of personality that she shows us. But I do like her music. I'm mad at my stuff that I didn't go to Coachella when she was there. Like it was just me being lazy and cheap. Like, bro, I'm not trying to go all the way out there to the deserts and see her. Or the time that she was on, I've missed like 2 or 3 Beyonce concerts that was like right there in my hand, and I was just lazy. Um, so I don't want it to come off as like I'm anti Beyonce. Like with the Beyonce album that came out like 2014, like I'll listen to both discs cover to cover. And y'all know I don't really listen to R&B and shit like that. You know, I be listening to, I be listening to, I be listening to.
Trash.
This is what I be listening to. Man,
Not
don't
trash, Wayne.
Wayne does not like any of the artists that I listen to currently.
What did Wayne call Gucci? What did Wayne say about Gucci earlier this week? It was quite disrespectful.
What did you say, Wayne?
Whatever it was true.
Yeah, somebody was like, she was like, "Oh, you heard that new Gucci?" And then Wayne said something awful about it. Obviously, he had not heard it.
Yeah, he should listen to it. But